Hi friend, my name is Amit and welcome to my channel Indianreacts. Today we got an interesting video that is Jakarta versus Manila. So without wasting much of the time, let's start it. This video is by Danny, Got a World to See. I'll send the link in the description. You can go and check more about it. So let's play it. Yeah, Jakarta is capital of Indonesia, Manila is the capital of Philippines.
Manila, two capital cities of two huge island nations. First of all, to get it out of the way, I
Yes,
feel like
obviously.
both cities are underappreciated. They're
Yeah,
definitely
man.
underloved. You hear people going to Bangkok, oh yeah, and then you hear people don't go. To
Yeah,
Bangkok,
Jakarta
just go
and
straight
Manila are
to the beautiful
underestimated,
islands of
correct.
the
People
Philippines.
go to other places
Jakarta.
as compared
Many
to
people
these
only know even
cities.
Bali. When it comes to the perspective of traveling, maybe even living, staying for a few
But
months. Or
these cities are very beautiful. I
longer
know
in the
I
city.
already
wanna share
reacted
a
to
little
few
bit my
videos of Jakarta
impression.
and I loved it very much.
You know, if I think of Philippines,
Wow.
I'm thinking amazing blue beaches. I'm thinking Indonesia with its volcanoes, the tropical islands, but yet both of the capital cities,
Yes, correct.
Manila and Jakarta, you don't hear too much about it from,
Yeah.
let's say, a traveler's perspective. Not too
Bangkok,
many people
Thailand,
talk
Singapore,
about
these
how
are
much
very
they wanna go
famous
there.
in
And
terms of
contrast
travel,
to,
but
let's say,
Jakarta,
cities like
Manila are
Bangkok
really
that are
underrated. I
fairly
am
high on
very
people's
agree
list.
with.
I feel like in some ways they might be underrated. Not too many people visit them, and today I want to put them next to each other and share with you.
Yeah, I definitely
pros and
visit
cons, the
Jakarta
differences
once
of the
the
two
COVID is
cities,
over and I
whether
am
or not I
free. But
think
for Manila, this is my first video and I'll be checking how beautiful Manila is. I have heard it's a
Before we
very
get into
beautiful
it,
city,
if
so
you're
let's
new here,
check it.
My name is Dan, and for the past 5 years, I have been
Okay.
on the road. Sometimes changing countries every 1 week.
Yeah,
or
he's
two,
a
but in
very
the past few
good
years, staying
blogger
more
and
so
he
for
makes
3
many of
months,
the
4
videos, so you
months, at
can
least a
subscribe
month,
his
and
channel
then
as
to
well.
get a bit of a feeling for it before moving on and talking about this lifestyle of remote living. So if that
Okay,
is
so let's
something
start
you're
with
into, next to
Jakarta.
just
Yeah,
travel content,
obviously.
I document my life going to
Over
cool
10 million
places. So
people.
first of all, Jakarta. It's a humongous city. Population is a bit over 10 million people.
Okay.
Manila itself, you have to understand, there's Metro Manila, which is kind of like the area of Manila, like the area of Jakarta. There is places like areas like Makati, areas like BGC, which are really modern, really nice. Same as with Jakarta. The cities are very similar
Okay.
from the aspect that they're very large. They're not
Jakarta,
really walkable. They're
is
definitely-
capital
it's
of
also hard to get
Indonesia.
from one area to another. Traffic is
Manila
horrible
is
in both
crowded,
places.
he's
For me,
in
it was
some
hard to
places.
compare where it is worse because I've been in Jakarta during COVID times. And it was very quiet, but now it's still busy. Manila was an absolute nightmare. It was almost
Okay,
impossible.
so
to
Manila is
drive
very
10
busy. It's
kilometers
like
without
Bangalore
taking
we have here in
hours. So
India.
that's something to keep in mind. But if you're gonna stay in one area, like I'm gonna give some my personal recommendations.
Oh, how cool
Maybe
it
you don't
is.
really need to drive around. It
Freely.
doesn't become that big of an issue. Maybe like once every few weeks or however when you go to the airport might be. But other than that, it's not a huge issue. But the thing when you hear about both cities, the first thing you mostly hear from travelers, maybe even locals, they're just like, forget
Okay.
about Manila. Just head straight away to Palawan, like beautiful
Yeah.
islands, beautiful beaches.
So-
Maybe I'm gonna show you some things like right now. And I don't want to sugarcoat none of the two cities. It's true. It's true. There's definitely some poverty in both cities, or maybe even a good amount of that
Yes,
still. Jakarta is actually being known for the
Jakarta
city
is
that
a more of capital city. It's more of business things. It's more of IT industry. And Manila, I'm not very sure, but I think it's more of a tourist
And the truth
place.
is that the water levels are rising closer to the shores. Let's talk about the positive side. Let's talk about the interesting side of things to do, a little bit the history, a little bit the culture, and that's where the two cities really, really differ. So they're similar from the outlet that there's some areas they're a little bit older, some areas a little bit nicer, others more poor. And then you have these like super business districts, both in Manila as well as in Jakarta. They
Yeah, some part of Jakarta is looking like New York and Bangkok. Obviously, I have reacted to video Jakarta versus Mumbai. You can find link in the description. Also, Jakarta versus Delhi, I reacted. So I saw like Jakarta is very beautiful in
my
some
recommendation
places.
for Manila, let's first talk
See
about
these-
like the business
see these
district,
pics
nice
and
areas
it's
to
just-
stay,
ooh.
where it's super modern, and if you like big city vibes, if you like to go to a rooftop bar, everyone's crazy about the Bangkok rooftop bars. Well, let me tell you,
Manila is also
Manila
the
has
same
amazing
rooftop bars,
bars,
means big
so
buildings.
does Jakarta. And The areas in
Kuningan,
Jakarta, the two areas.
Mega Kuningan.
One is called Kuningan or Mega Kuningan. It's an area with embassies, with a lot of
See,
office
these
buildings,
places are
residential
not
buildings
any less
alike.
than
So
New York
really comfortable
or
to stay. You can stay
Bangkok
in a
or
building with a
Thailand. These are
super
very
nice
beautiful,
gym.
very
You
clean
can go
Singapore
out,
like
you can go
places.
for walks. There's areas that are developed, not just one
See
or
metro
two
in
streets
front
where
of
it's,
you,
let's
so
say,
many buildings,
like nice, but it's
everything
actually,
so
it's actual
cool,
neighborhood where you
very
can go for an
beautiful.
hour walk and it just feels super futuristic and super modern. And when I arrived in Jakarta, like with any big city, I knew there was going to be a nice area, but in Jakarta I've actually been a little bit blown away. Similar as the Philippines, but here maybe
SCBD
a little
area.
bit more.
Okay,
They
this
have
is
like
a
this
new area.
brand
So
new
this is some
SCBD
business area, I
that
think
I'm staying
SCBD.
in right
Okay,
now.
correct?
And so with
See
that,
these buildings
like,
are
you're definitely
very
gonna have some
awesome.
nice places to stay, be it for a few days or for a few weeks. Check out some rooftop bars. Just get a little bit of the city vibes, the exhilarating. I just did actually a poll on my story. It's kind of like I like to be a little bit stuck in between. I'm not stuck. I like to bounce around in between this big city vibe, which is exhilarating, which wakes you up. You see people around the go. A little bit this like New York mentality, but it also can burn you out easily. And I feel like,
see,
or at least, you know, I like to listen to
how
podcasts. I like to
beautiful, how
consume
clean they have
information around
maintained
the
the
fact of,
cities.
you know, in terms of like mental well-being.
How
it's
this
just
is
not made
looking
to
less than
sit
any
in
country
huge
of US or
skyscrapers
Europe,
all
but this
year
is looking
long and
more
just
beautiful
stare at
than those
malls.
countries as well in
And
many
there the
of the
thing is with both
aspects.
Jakarta and Manila,
See
that's what
these
they have in
malls,
common.
see these
Even though they have
buildings.
huge skyscrapers and skyrises, the cities are still fairly green in terms of the business districts, BGC in Manila, and here SCBD in
H&M.
Jakarta.
This is, I think,
Both of them still
Indian
have
brand
a lot
H&M.
of trees, a lot of things are developed nicely in comparison maybe to a Dubai that right now tries to also have more greenery, which is obviously harder, you know. It's a desert. But yeah, those are probably the two areas. In Manila, it's going to be the BGC area. There are just
So this is BGC in Manila. Yeah.
really nice.
This is also
big
very
buildings,
beautiful, very
big mall
clean, and
complexes. Again, speaking
so
about
big
malls,
buildings, so
Jakarta,
big
Manila are
malls.
known for
Yeah.
having humongous malls.
Yeah, it's more like we have here in
There's some
Gurgaon, we
of
have
them
our
are
cyber
really
city, so
good
it's
too.
looking like that.
Everything
Good
you might
buildings
want,
and good
every single
infrastructure
brand
is
you might
there.
think
Wow.
of. Maybe
See this mall, see this
exceptions,
building.
but not really.
1, 2, 3, 4. How
Definitely
many
all the
stories
big
it
cities
is?
you'll find both in Jakarta and Manila. So from the perspective
Ooh.
of being a modern city, they have a lot
Wow.
of things
Louis
in
Wellington
common. They have
showroom was
really
there.
nice areas while they struggle with some infrastructure issues, which I would say both cities are working on. Talking about public transportation and things like that, Jakarta is
Jakarta
probably
is,
still
yeah.
a little bit better. They have
Better
a T
metro
line,
system.
where I think Philippines has also one. I tried it once, was not as good as here. This
Okay,
one's
both have
actually
metro, but he's saying
but they still
Jakarta's
both
metro is
have
better.
one line actually. In terms of buses and things like that, Jakarta is actually fairly well. Jakarta, like buses are running absolutely everywhere. In the
Okay.
Philippines, they still have the old jeepneys for the most part. They also
Oh,
have some
nice.
buses, but
This
like
is-
the jeepney, I don't know if they have a shot
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
very
basically
beautiful, like, it's very
American
old
military
structure
cars, so
bus.
that I think we're also going to make a transition.
Yeah,
A little
correct.
bit
If you sit in these buses nowadays,
which
it's a
make the
very new
experience very different.
things for.
Guys, honestly,
Okay,
taxis
so this is Manila, Philippines.
here as well as in Manila. I think in Jakarta.
So
a little bit
Manila is
cheaper
more
than
cheaper
I don't
or
remember,
like
you can
Jakarta?
go
I
from
believe
one side
Manila
to
is
the
more
other side of the
cheaper.
city for
It's in
$5 for a
Philippines
40-minute drive.
and
You just need to
Jakarta
go
is in
around the
Indonesia.
neighborhood,
So
20
you
minutes,
can
go
comment and let me know
$3
like which
taxi
country is
ride.
more cheaper and which country
Maybe
is
$3
easy
in
to
Manila, but pretty
access
much
everything.
around, very
Where
easy to
people
get
speak
around,
more of the English,
gas,
how the
Grab,
culture is every
and,
country. I need to know more about these two
Jakarta,
cities.
it's Gojek. So to talk about the culture, what makes the experience really
Yeah.
different. So both countries have colonial history. In
Correct.
Indonesia,
I already
it's
react
the
to a
Dutch
video,
that
the
have
history
here
of
for 200
Indonesia, so
years,
you can
really
go and
influenced the
check
culture,
that in
and
my
you still
link
see
as
it on the
well.
ground. So you can go into the old town of
Cafe.
Jakarta, and you can see the city hall and things like
So
around the
Dutch are the ones
building
once they are
from
in
the
India
Dutch that they set it
also.
up, and it looks
So
really
they moved
interesting.
from
It adds
India
a
to
vibe
that
of
side,
modern,
so they captured
city in
Malaysia
some
and
neighborhoods, and then in other
Indonesia and
neighborhoods,
other
like
places as well that
Chinatown
time.
is still. I uploaded a video recently. It's still very like it's a little bit like time traveling, like 30-40 years back with all the markets.
Okay.
And in the Philippines,
Philippines
you have
are
colonial
from
history of
Spanish.
Spanish being there.
Nice.
Really influenced the culture.
So
in
Vela
there.
Chow,
You have the Intramuros,
La Ciento.
Old Town in Manila, which I actually really liked. It was like, for example, here the Old
Despacito.
Town is not that large. In the Philippines, the Old Town is fairly big. You have these like wall structures. There's like some
So it is from a Spanish
memorials,
colony, so yeah,
and
so many
overall,
Spanish
just
people are
walk
there.
around
We
that
have
area,
very
you
good,
see
rich culture of
really
Spanish. Means
old
nowadays
British
Spanish is
cathedrals
everywhere.
in,
It's increasing very
a
well.
lot of them, especially in Manila, and some of them are actually look really nice, really cool. In here in Jakarta,
Yeah.
you also have some churches. much,
Yeah, this
much
country
less
is also
definitely
very old. It's
than in the
not
Philippines, naturally, because Indonesia
Yeah,
is
Jakarta is basically a
largest
Muslim-oriented or
Muslim
Hindu-oriented country,
in
so
the
it has
world.
a less
Yes,
number of
besides
churches
actually
that
the
he is
island of
explaining.
Bali,
Yeah,
that
the
makes
same
also culture
point
in
I'm
Bali
also
though
saying.
very different. But to
So,
get back to that, in terms of that, if you're coming from the outside, if you have never
Philippines
been to
and
Indonesia,
Manila basically are
definitely feels
more of like
different
his
than, let's say,
stories are
Middle
like
Eastern country here.
Spanish thing,
You
so
have the
there is a more of
mosques,
like
you have the
Christianity, so
mosques,
having a more number of churches,
prayers
correct?
every few hours. In the Philippines, something worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Everybody speaks English. That's also due to the recent history, fairly recent history of the American
Oh, that's very
being for
great.
some time in the
Philippines, everybody
Also,
knows English, so that's very
culture in the
great.
Philippines are extremely
That is a very easy place for
Western-oriented
Indians as well
when it
to
comes
interact because India is the
culture.
second most
You can get around
English
with
speaking
English
country in the world
super
after
easily
US.
in the Philippines. Most people like speak it literally fluently, and even their own language, they kind of like mix it all the time.
Wow.
And in Jakarta, a lot of
Yeah,
people gonna speak
it's
English.
like in English we have our
Maybe
Hindi as
around
our local
half, I would
language and we
say,
speak
in the
English. So
business district.
the English that we call in India
Outside of
is
the
like
business
English.
district,
It's a
little
Hindi
bit.
plus
So
English. That is
here,
English.
If you're gonna leave Jakarta, honestly, I'm gonna tell you there is some communication issues every once in a while. Maybe not necessarily issues because you always have your hands, you have your eyes, and you have Google Translate on your phone. In Indonesia,
But Jakarta people are very
quite a lot.
sweet, so I have reacted
About
to
the
few
cost
video
of
and I
traveling
found no issue
also
like this. But
very,
he is
very
mentioning
similar with
English is not there, that's why
accommodation,
people are
taxis, as
more like
mentioned, food, things
getting
like
a
that,
little tough
restaurants.
situation. But I don't believe on
Alright
this
guys,
because
and so on that note, I hope
what I know
you got
about
a bit of a
Jakarta, it's a very
feeling for
good
both
place and
cities,
people are
Manila
very good
and Jakarta.
for
I feel like
travel
they're both underrated
opportunities.
in the
So
sense that not
I
that
want
many
to know
people
if this
go
in
there.
comment like
And
is
while I
this
do
is a
think
real
both of the
problem.
cities have
If
problems,
you are in
while
Jakarta,
personally
you have
I
to
probably wouldn't
get
particularly
struggle
choose
because
them
people
to
are
stay
less
like for
there
weeks
for
or
English.
months on end. I think both of them have a certain charm. Both of them definitely have areas that I would maybe avoid. And I'll be curious to hear, have you been to any of the two cities? How did you like them or maybe not like them? And while personally probably I prefer a city like Bangkok, maybe to live there also a little bit longer, I think both of them are really worth visiting, at least for a few days, to get a bit of a feeling. If you like the big city vibe, I think with every country you visit, if you visit Indonesia, it's kind of cool to see, the capital of the city. If you visit Philippines, I think it can also be really interesting, the old town. And I'm coming to you right now from Bali. Depending on where I am, you can check me out on Instagram. Also there, I keep you a little bit up to date what I'm up to. And if you're into the topic of remote living, about living around the world, about finding places that offer more freedom, then you should join the Gotta Roll to See channel. See you soon.
Yeah.
The past
So
few years I've been documenting
this is
my life
going
here
to
around
end of his
perpetual
video
travel
and
living around the world.
he's
And as of now, you're watching
okay.
country number 51,
Something is there.
Indonesia.
Some
We're going to be traveling
good things
all
are there.
throughout
Wow.
Java Island.
Oh my God,
places,
51.
Bali, and maybe also some hidden gems.
That's very great. He already traveled 51 countries. That's a dream for everybody in this world. Whoa. Nice. So this is the very end of this video, and so Danny is a very great blogger and he already traveled 51 countries as he mentioned, and so he gave us a big insights about Jakarta and Manila. So we already know that Jakarta is from Indonesia and Manila is from Philippines. The one big difference he told in both of the places is like these are the underrated places across the globe. So people used to be more like go to Bangkok, go to Indonesia, don't go to Indonesia, go to Singapore, go to Dubai. So it's not always like that. If you want a little bit of like new things, so you can really go to these places as well. He's mentioning, and the next thing he mentioned, like if you compare both Jakarta and Manila, one way, so most of them are mostly both of them are same. The only difference you will get like Jakarta is more of a like Muslim oriented country because of the Dutch, and Philippines is a more of like a Spanish or English oriented country because of the Spanish people. So there are more number of people speaking English in your so-called Manila, and whereas in Jakarta you have very few numbers of people speaking English. But I don't think this is a problem, so let me know like if this is a problem if anybody comes to visit any of the place, because we have Bali. Okay, so Bali is in Indonesia and it's a like cultural place, so there is no boundaries, there is no limitation, and it's very famous place to visit. So that's very great. So I hope you liked this of my reaction, and I'll be continuing to react to in few more videos about Indonesia and Philippines. If you have any suggestions, give me in comments. Please like my channel, subscribe my channel, and take care till then. Bye bye. We'll meet in some next video. Bye bye.